Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad. I am back with you for Better Off Dead Friday. It's August now, August 1st. July was not a good month on the show. Not that I've actually been betting much of anything, as I've been pointing out, trying to save money or, get to a point where I have more money that's liquid and then maybe start doing this again. I don't know. We will see. But July, if you've been tracking, it was the second losing month of the year for me. Not as bad as March, though, but still down on the year now because of July. Fuck July. Not Eric July. I like that guy. Thanks for everybody who hung out last night with an episode of Bald that I did with Clint. If you missed that, you can go check it out. Clint Russell from Liberty Lockdown. We talked NFL season predictions. I gave him sort of the lowdown on all the offseason changes that have happened. I shaved everything to get ready for Bald. I was like, well, I got to be bald for Bald. And then I went to shave my face, and I had the razor on the wrong setting. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I started with the sideburns. So I'm like, well, I have to leave something on the chin, man, because I do not look good completely shaved. I look like a big fat baby. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just shave the beard down to kind of an extended goatee. I'm like, yeah, all right, this looks all right. We'll just leave it like that for now. Hopefully it's not terrible. Maybe I look like, I don't know, Pete Quinones or something. All right. Yesterday, as I said, losing day on the show. I apologize for that. Tampa Bay, Pepio was just awful. Stroman outpitched them. The game entered into a rain delay, which I think kind of hurt Tampa actually a little bit because they had a little bit of momentum. I mean, I know they were losing the game, but they had runners on the corners in the top of the 5th, I believe. So they at least had a chance to maybe do some damage there. But yeah, that was a loser, Tampa Bay. Fuck that. We're going to move on to today. I do have one full game total and one full game side, both in Major League Baseball today, as all the teams are playing again today. Speaking of baseball, not a fan of the Red Sox trade deadline moves, man. I don't like it at all. They got Steven Matz, however you pronounce it. I mean, he's a decent reliever, but he's in his 30s. They got him over from St. Louis, but to do so, they traded Blaze Jordan, some stupid name, whatever, but he's actually a really good hitting first baseman, and the Red Sox traded that guy away, so I don't love that deal. But the Red Sox, I mean, really, actually, the Red Sox kind of need a good hitting first baseman, too, so that kind of didn't make sense to me, although, of course, a lot of different guys can kind of move to first base because it's the easiest position to learn how to field, pretty much. Then they made one trade actually yesterday, which was to get what the hell did they? Oh, they got Dustin May, which if you watch my show, you know I'm not a fan of that guy. He sucks. Dustin May over from the Dodgers, not impressed by that guy at all. I don't know what they plan on doing with him. Like, nope, he's going to be the last guy in the Red Sox starting rotation now. Okay, if you say so, I guess. I mean, he's going to fit right in with all their other shitty starters. It's basically Garrett Crochet. Bayo actually started to pitch well, and then everybody else just blows. So, like, I mean, now they have two of the Dodgers starters over here who just both blow, Bueller and May. So that's just great. And to get May, they traded some prospect I've never heard of, and Tibbs, who was one of the guys, basically the best player they got over in the Devers trade. And Tibbs is a good hitting outfielder, man, but at least from the Red Sox perspective, at least the Red Sox do have a lot of outfielders, so that kind of made a little bit more sense. But to get that little out of him, I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. Terrible, terrible deals, in my opinion. It would have been a lot better if the Red Sox made 0 trades at all. They would be better off. Like, just stand pat. I mean, you're not going to win this year, dude. I know you're fighting for the wild card right now. You're not going to win. You got a young core. You're building it right now. This Red Sox team could be good in the next few years. That's what they should do. But I mean, I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm getting autistic about it. You guys don't want to hear me rant about the Red Sox. We got a lot of stuff going on today on the card, so let's get into it. I mean, I'm going to do the rundown here. Let's do it. Let's remember to bring up the graphic. WNBA is up first. I don't have a play in the WNBA, but I will give out a couple of leans, I guess. I think there's one decent lean in the WNBA that I still don't really want to deal with, but Phoenix is at Atlanta. All these games are actually in the evening. Atlanta coming off winning against Dallas at Dallas, and now they're coming back home again. So they returned home from a long road trip, lost that game, the dildo game, which I gave out Golden State on the show as a play. Golden State did get it done. Atlanta went on the road, beat Dallas. Now they're back home again against a Phoenix team that they actually just beat on the road. And with all this back and forth for Atlanta going all over the place, travel spot doesn't look that great to me for Atlanta, and it is a little bit of a road revenge spot for Phoenix here. Phoenix, though, they're playing a 4th straight road game, and I think it's been in kind of quick succession, too. Actually, maybe it hasn't been. I looked earlier this morning. Yeah, they've had a few days off in there, so actually they haven't had that, like, jam-packed of a schedule there. Still not the greatest spot for Phoenix, but I think the spot is probably a little bit better for Phoenix. The line is up from 1.5 to 3.5. Phoenix being the road favorite here. I don't really disagree with that. Liberty at Connecticut. I mean, this is one of the best teams in the league against one of the worst, or the worst, Connecticut. Connecticut just lost again by a lot to Seattle. They're just staying at home, though, so the travel spot probably a little bit better for Connecticut. Liberty are traveling back in from Dallas and Minnesota, so this is kind of close to a return home spot almost, because Connecticut's not that far away from New York. It is technically a 3rd straight road game. Liberty, 3 straight losses, but they're also coming off the big rematch of the finals from last year, and Minnesota got their revenge. I mentioned I liked Minnesota in that game, but they didn't actually cover the spread. They won, didn't cover. Still a huge game for both teams, so I might look to fade Minnesota, man, in the letdown spot tomorrow. They're playing tomorrow against Las Vegas, so we'll see if that becomes a play of mine, but it's definitely possible. But the Liberty, yeah, coming off a big game there. The spot is worse for the Liberty here, but do I really want to play Connecticut? I mean, no, not really. Liberty up from 10 to 11.5 here. I mean, it's probably too big of a line, but Connecticut is really, really bad, so don't want it. Golden State at Chicago. Golden State played yesterday, actually, and they actually won again. Another road upset at Washington. Now they're playing, I believe, a 3rd straight road game now going out to Chicago. Or maybe it's a 4th straight road game even now. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, it's a 4th straight road game. And actually, I looked at this earlier. It's 4 games in 6 days, and it's actually 5 games in the last 8 days, all in different cities. So it's a very difficult spot for Golden State here, especially on top of a back-to-back, on top of back-to-back upsets as well. This is the spot that I think is, if you're going to play anything in WNBA today, I think this is the spot. Take the points with Chicago. The problem that I have with that is, even though Golden State does have that one key injury to Kayla Thornton, who is one of their best players, she's done for the season. Chicago has a bunch of injuries of their own, man. It looks like Angel Reese is going to miss this game too, which should probably help their shooting, to be honest. But they have 5 players listed on the injury report. It looks like 3 of them are game-time decisions, so this is something to definitely keep an eye on for Chicago. But I think the spot does set up better for Chicago. I would take the points with them if I was going to do anything. And it's tempting, actually, because Chicago did just get blasted at Washington. I know they've lost a ton of games in a row, so it's really not tempting from like the public's perspective to want anything to do with Chicago. And they've lost most of these games by horrendous margins, too. They've been horrible. dealing with injuries, plus they're a bad team on top of that. But the spot looks right for it, man. And as I was about to say, on top of all that, Chicago just beat Washington on the road, or Chicago, got beaten badly by Washington on the road. Golden State just beat Washington on the road. So people, I think, are going to look at that and think this is really easy. You just lay the points with Golden State, right? But it's down from 6 to 5.5 here. You know, I'm tempted. If we think Chicago's going to have a lot of these players actually playing, actually, let me see if it's an injury spot. If Angel Reese, if it's her first game out and she's, kind of that star player missing, if that makes it an injured player spot, I think I will actually do this. Let me look at this game here. She did play against Chicago, and she was horrendous yet again. 6 for 16 from the field. 22 points, though, man. 13 rebounds is good. She got a double-double, but she took a shit ton of shots and missed the vast majority of them, which is typical. But yeah, if this is going to be her first game out, you know what? I think maybe we should do this. I'm looking at this right now. I'm looking at the box score here. Washington shot absurd in that game, man. 50.7% from the field, 41.7% from three. Pretty major outlier there. Should we add the WNBA play last minute here? Chicago Sky. I think I'm going to do it. It's an injured player spot with Angel Reese out. And again, I'm not even sure that that's really a bad thing for them. We'll call it 5.5. We'll see. WNBA, there you go. Chicago Sky plus the points. Even though the last time I gave out the Sky, it did not work out well. But that's what we'll do. We'll do that. And I am up in the WNBA this year, though. So WNBA has not gone that poorly for me. Indiana and Dallas here. Should be the big matchup between Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers, of course, but Caitlin Clark is still injured. I have no idea when she's coming back, so Caitlin Clark will not be playing. Dallas just had a close game against Atlanta, big game, coming off a big game against the Liberty, so they're actually playing a bunch of games in a row that are big games, so it seems like they are kind of keeping their level of play up, though, but how long can they really do that? And how seriously are they going to take Indiana without Caitlin Clark? I don't know, because they did lose by 19 points at Indiana not that long ago, and I don't think Clark was there for that game either. She's missed most of these games at the very least. Oh, she did play that game. My mistake. So Clark actually was involved in that game, but still Dallas, maybe they will show up just because still it is Indiana. Indiana's on a 3-game win streak, even without Clark. They did just win against Phoenix, and now they're starting a new road trip. Or at least going out on the road after that home win. Fairly big win for Indiana, but starting a road trip with momentum. Will they be focused, though, to play this Dallas team that isn't really that good? I don't know. Indiana's laying 4 points on the road. It's a tough call, man. That game, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would want to do with that. It seems like maybe a slight lean to taking the points at home, but I really don't have much of a feel for that game at all. And then L.A. at Seattle. L.A., coming off a loss to Vegas, and that might hang them over, man, because LA was hot. They had won 5 games in a row, and that was a letdown spot. I mean, they had just beaten the Liberty, and they returned home. I think I mentioned that as a lean on my show. I didn't give it out as a play, though, which maybe I should have, because I had that one correct on Las Vegas. It was a bad spot for LA, man. Returning home off of the big win over the Liberty, returning cross-country, bad spot. Now they're going back out on the road after that loss. I could see it going both ways, man. If they stayed at home, I would probably say maybe they have a chance to bounce back here, because that second game back home, after you have a bad game the first game back, you tend to bounce back a little bit more easily. But now that they're going out on the road, I'm not so sure, man. They could be hung over. If you lose a long win streak like that, sometimes it does hang you over. Seattle's a pretty good team, though, so it's not like they're not going to be focused on Seattle. So I think they will show up for a game against Seattle. Seattle is returning home, so it's not a good spot for Seattle either. They were just out east, and they're returning home from the East Coast. They played a 3-game road trip with 2 games basically on the East Coast, returning from winning 2 of those 3 and beating Connecticut, which is not very impressive. But the return home spot, never really that good a spot, and especially they're playing a team that has a worse record than they have. So I don't think it's a great spot for Seattle either, and the line has moved against Seattle, down from 5.5 to 5. But neither team, I would say, is really in a particularly great spot. Although I guess I would agree with that line movement. I do think the spot is a little bit worse for Seattle. Could potentially be a bounce back for LA, so that's the way I would lean in that game. J-Main, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out again. Yeah, thanks, man. Good to see you. I'm going to be switching over to baseball right now, man. Here we go. Major League Baseball. We had a really short baseball board yesterday. Today, that is not the case. We have a full baseball slate today because it is Friday. We have some undecided pitchers here, and I don't know if any of the pitchers have been decided, but it looks like Toronto, Boston, my Red Sox, White Sox, and Arizona and the A's, both teams in that game. It looks like they have not decided on a starter yet. We'll start with the afternoon, Atlanta and Cincinnati. I mean, these teams, they played last night in that crazy game where Atlanta had the huge lead. Atlanta blew the lead, and I think there were 16 runs scored in a single inning in this game, if I remember correctly. In the 8th inning, Atlanta scored 8 runs to take a huge lead, and then they took an 8-run lead, and then this Atlanta bullpen, which is the bullpen that's blown the biggest leads in baseball this year, blowing and losing a 6-run lead when I gave out Atlanta as a play on the show way back in the day. And now they do it again, and they blow the 8-run lead immediately to the Reds, but Atlanta still wound up winning the game last night in the 10th inning. Absolute madness in this game, absolute insanity, a lot of bullpen usage, 5 relievers for both teams, so the bullpen's not in great shape coming into this game, so something to keep in mind here. And a quick turnaround time, so these teams have not had that much time to rest, which could mean that the hitting will falter a little bit here because they have to play now in the afternoon after that game last night that went extras, but it doesn't look like it sets up well for the bullpens in this game, and I don't like at least one of these 2 starters here, either Bryce Elder, not a fan if you haven't guessed by now or you haven't figured that out on this show. His numbers are absolutely atrocious. 6.29 ERA, 1.61 whip. He's 26 years old and he's pitching like an elder. I mean, he might as well be 46 with numbers like this. His numbers suck both home and away. It doesn't even really matter. Pitching in a pitcher-friendly park here, and he's not in good form this month with a 7.91 ERA in 4 starts, 16-11 strikeout walk ratio, 3 or more walks in 3 of the 4 starts. Last start, he gave up 8 runs to this not good Texas offense, 4 walks in that game as well to 3 strikeouts. Elder is not pitching well, man, at all. So there's no way that he's trustworthy. The numbers against the Reds are not horrendous. In 22 at-bats, it's a small sample size, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 273 average, 668 OPS, but I see no way of trusting Elder in this game, man. And then Brady Singer on the other side, obviously is the better of the 2 pitchers, but his numbers are not terrific. 4.6 ERA, 1.33 whip. He is significantly better at home, though. More than 2 runs better at home on the ERA. 3.69, even though it's a hitter-friendly stadium. He is in better form because he is coming off 1 really good start against Tampa. 8-1 strikeout walk ratio. His strikeout walk ratio has still been good this month, 25-7. Really, he just got wrecked in 1 start at Washington 2 starts ago, giving up 7 runs in 2 1/3 innings. His performance has not been that bad this month otherwise, so that could have been a bit of an outlier because he did bounce back very nicely, but he does not have good numbers against the Braves in 64 at-bats, 281 batting average, 952 OPS, 6 home runs allowed, 2 from Murphy, 2 from Olsen. Player prop potential there, Murphy, 5 for 11 with 2 doubles and the 2 home runs, and Olsen, 3 for 9 with the 2 home runs and 3 walks. Could look for those guys, maybe hits plus runs plus RBIs, but Singer, based on the fact that his matchup numbers aren't really that good, my lean on this game would be to the over. It's sitting at 9, heavily juiced to the over right now. It looks like Cincinnati's dropped a little bit on the money line. I don't see any percentages yet because it is early. I'm doing this show a little bit earlier right now. I'm down from -135 to -131 on the money line. There's no way that I would trust Atlanta. I mean, if I was looking at a side, I would probably look to Cincinnati, I guess, just in the first 5 innings and just isolate the starting pitching matchup because I don't know what the hell is going to happen with the bullpens. Although you could argue the bullpens are about even, and maybe that Cincinnati, you could maybe argue for full game Cincinnati, but first 5 innings, I do think Singer probably does have the edge over Elder slightly. He's the better pitcher, but I don't like the pitching matchup numbers at all, so I think the over including these, unrested bullpens that aren't really that good anyway, and two pretty questionable starters here. That's the way that I would look, would be to the over in that game. And you might have to go over 9.5 at this point. Hopefully not, though. If you can get over 9 at like around minus 120, I'd probably do that. But even the 9.5, I think would probably still be the best way to look in that game. The other afternoon game is Baltimore at the Cubs because it's Wrigley Field. Of course, we get these weird afternoon games at Wrigley. These teams were both off yesterday. I mean, almost every team was off yesterday. Cubs coming off a big series against Milwaukee, though, and they're returning home from a road trip, although, of course, Milwaukee to Chicago, very short travel, though it wasn't really much of a road trip because they were in Chicago and then Milwaukee, so I don't really know if this counts as a road trip return, so I don't really think it's going to be that much of a distraction spot, but it could be a letdown spot anyway, man, or hangover spot, because when you're coming off playing against Milwaukee, who's the team you're fighting with in the NL Central here, you just beat them 10-3. Are you really going to focus on this bad Baltimore team who's not even in your league? Probably not. So it looks like a bad spot for the Cubs to me. Baltimore, not the greatest spot for them either necessarily, because Baltimore was actually on a 5-game win streak and they were going for a sweep of Toronto. Would have been a huge sweep. Toronto currently leading the AL East. Baltimore lost the last game close, 9-8. So that could hang them over into the next game, man. But they are starting a road trip, and it is the Cubs. So they might still be focused going out on the road to start a road trip against the Cubs. So I do think the spot is still worse for the Cubs as far as like who's going to be focused. And I would say probably Baltimore has the more trustworthy of the two starters here too. Cubs have the better bullpen and obviously have the better offense. And the Cubs, I believe, are pretty good at hitting at home as well. So really, Baltimore, if they have any advantage here, it would be the spot, but also specifically, I think the starting pitching might be in their favor. Trevor Rogers, man, I keep pointing out how I did not like his numbers when he was on Miami. I don't like his numbers on AAA this year, but you can't really argue with his numbers on Baltimore so far. He continues to do well. 1.49 ERA, 0.79 whip. I mean, at some point, I don't think he can continue this, but he's pitching well. He's been a little bit worse on the road, but 2.36 ERA is still really good. He's in really good form right now still. 1.03 ERA in 4 starts this month. Baltimore won 3 of those starts. He got the win in all 3. Baltimore has won 5 of his last 6 starts. He's given up 2 or fewer earned runs in every single one of those starts. This month, 22-7 strikeout walk ratio. And last outing, dominated Colorado for 7 innings, 1 hit shutout, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. I mean, again, it is Colorado, so it's not that impressive of an offense. He really has not faced that impressive of an offense yet, so that's the one thing. He is stepping way up in class to face the Cubs here because he's faced really one good offense so far, the Red Sox, in his first outing. And then since then, it's been Tampa twice, Texas twice, Colorado, Miami, and Atlanta. So not really that much of a gauntlet for Rogers. So at some point, I do think he's going to pitch worse. The Cubs have 20 at-bats against him. Only 3 hitters have seen him before, but they are 9 for 20 off him, a 450 average, 1,272 OPS with Swanson with a home run off him as well, and 3 walks to 4 strikeouts for the Cubs. So Rogers doesn't particularly match up well against the Cubs, but the majority of their lineup hasn't seen Rogers before, so it's a real mix where the Cubs are good at hitting. The Cubs hitters that have seen him have hit him well, but the rest of the Cubs lineup has not seen him before, so it might be at a little bit of a disadvantage. So it's a weird mix there. Cade Horton is pitching for the Cubs, and I would trust him less than Rogers just based on the way that they've been pitching. 3.67 ERA for him, not bad, but 1.31 whip doesn't really inspire too much confidence in me, although he's been better at home, 2.12 ERA in Wrigley. His numbers this month have not been that bad, though. 1.52 ERA is obviously good. 17-8 strikeout walk ratio is a little bit iffy, but 3 of the 4 starts this month have been shutouts, where he went at least 5 2/3 in all 3. Although the only one against a good offense was the Red Sox. I mean, the other starts, Cleveland, Minnesota, White Sox. I mean, again, he's not facing a gauntlet either. So he's not that trustworthy either. I mean, when he faced good offenses, he didn't do particularly well against the Mets, and Houston really lit him up, and those were the 2 best offenses that he faced. Seattle, fairly good offense as well, and Detroit, and he didn't do well in those starts either. But, of course, he is facing Baltimore here, who are not really that good of an offense, and Baltimore has actually never faced Cade Horton before. So Maybe Horton does have a little bit more of an edge against Baltimore here. So, I mean, this is a stay-away game for me, though, obviously. But, I mean, if you want to lean into the situation here, potentially maybe you could look to Baltimore. I would go, if you're going to go Baltimore money line, I would go first 5 innings. I'm not sure it's that great a play, though, but I think if you isolate the starting pitching matchup, Rodgers has pitched better than Horton so far, but still, I don't know if we could trust either of them. It's a very low total, which means the wind is blowing in off of Lake Michigan there, because I don't see how the total would be 7.5 juice to the under with this pitching matchup. Otherwise, Cubs up from -145 to -148 on the money line. You're always paying a bit of a price for the Cubs, and given the spot, I think it's probably a little bit better of an idea to look towards Baltimore in this game, but it's certainly not something that I would want to actually do. And keeping in mind all these bullpens are rested that we're talking about here, except for the game, the Atlanta-Cincinnati game, the Texas-Seattle game, which I'll talk about a bit later, and Tampa and New York, who are both starting new series. Those are the teams that played yesterday. Detroit at Philadelphia. Interesting matchup, man, and people might hail this as a potential World Series preview because both teams are doing well. Detroit starting a road trip with momentum. They just swept this Arizona team that looks like they're really unfocused after the trades that their team made, man. I think Arizona's looking like they're kind of packing it in right now. Detroit starting the road trip with momentum, should be focused for a Philadelphia team here. Looks like a decent spot to me for Detroit. Philadelphia is returning home from a road trip that took them to the Yankees and then Chicago. So it didn't really take them that far geographically. And they did lose the series to Chicago, but it is still a return home spot. And I always say about these return home spots, you have to get back to family life. It can be a little bit distracting because you've been away from home for a bit. This trip maybe less so because it wasn't that extended of a road trip, and they're playing a good Detroit team. So Philadelphia might still kind of break through that unfocused aspect of this and actually show up here. We have Detroit has the bullpen advantage. Philadelphia's bullpen is not very good, although I think Detroit's has actually been kind of falling off a little bit. Detroit's in the middle of the pack now, but still better than Philly, who's a bottom tier bullpen, like bottom several. Starting pitching matchup, Jack Flaherty for Detroit. Mediocre numbers on the season, 4.51 ERA, 1.28 whip. Way worse on the road, though. Almost 3 runs worse ERA-wise on the road. 6.28 ERA on the road, even though he's allowed more home runs at home, but way more innings at home. So he is worse on the road, but he is pitching a little bit better recently. This month, pretty good numbers. 3.55 ERA, 37-9 strikeout walk ratio. Sorry, when I say this month, I mean July. I forget that we're starting August now, but in the past month, I should say. And he finished July with a nice 6-inning shutout against Toronto. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 hits allowed. That was good, and he didn't allow more than 3 earned runs in any start this month, although he didn't go deep in the Pittsburgh game. And I don't know why they took him out, to be honest. I don't know if there was any sort of rain delay in that game. He only threw 78 pitches. He is coming off that Toronto game where he did throw over 100 pitches, though, but he has done that at least once this year against Cleveland, and he followed that up with a nice shutout performance against San Francisco. So he is a veteran. I mean, he's used to throwing pitches like that once in a while, so I don't think that's going to affect him that much here. Up against Philadelphia, we got to have, oh God, why can't I? There they are. This is I don't know. The drop down was like scrolling up the screen for me. Against Philadelphia, Flaherty actually has done really well for the most part in 56 at bats, 161 average allowed. Little bit of a higher 656 OPS, which is still not high at all, but higher than you'd expect with that batting average because 15 strikeouts to 11 walks is not that good. It's a lot of walks, but it looks like it's because he pitches around Schwarber, who does have a home run off him, but Schwarber is only 2 for 23 off him. Does have 5 walks, but 8 strikeouts. So he does still pretty much blow Schwarber away. Castellanos is the one guy that does damage against him, really 5 for 13 with one of those home runs, double and 2 walks. So he's the guy to really watch out for, but Flaherty does have good numbers against Philadelphia. He's up against Ronier Suarez, who does have the better numbers than Flaherty on the season, but I don't think has been the better pitcher recently. And I told you, I think Suarez is a little bit wild for my taste. He's a wild man. He's too much of a bad boy for me. But I told you, just like I said last year, I expected his numbers to get a bit worse, just looking at what he's done throughout his career. Still has good numbers this season, 2.59 ERA, 1.17 whip. He's been worse at home, though, 4.15 ERA here in this stadium. And this month, he's been a little bit worse, 4.57 ERA, or this past month, 23-10 strikeout walk ratio. So he has walked a bunch of guys. He's walked multiple guys in 3 of the 4 starts. He is coming off a 108-pitch outing where he only lasted 5 2/3, threw a lot of pitches to get through that difficult Yankees lineup, and he did pick up a win. Big start for him. So this could be, maybe a little bit of a letdown, maybe regression spot, although I know it's Detroit. You still focus when you're facing Detroit. His numbers against Detroit are actually not good. In only 16 at-bats, so it's a very small sample size, but 375 average, allowed 912 OPS. So I'm thinking Flaherty has a little bit of the upper hand here, man. Detroit, I think, is in the better spot situationally a bit because Philly's returning home from the road trip. Detroit starting a road trip with some momentum here. Detroit has the better overall pitching. I think they might have the advantage in the starting pitching, and I think they have the better bullpen. I would give Philly the advantage on the offensive side of things. Detroit's offense is really kind of faltered, so Philly does have that advantage, but Philly up from -145 to -148. To me, in the marketplace, it looked like some of the money was coming in on Philly, but I actually don't agree with it. I think I would lean to Detroit, and I think it would make sense either first 5 inning or full game because I do think they have the bullpen edge as well. So my lean would be to Detroit on the money line in that game and just take the shot on that one. Milwaukee at Washington. Washington is returning home from a road trip, so they are not in a good spot either. They went to Minnesota and Houston. So again, could be a distraction spot, although with Milwaukee coming to town with one of the best records in baseball, maybe you're still going to be focused on the Brewers. Brewers coming off that big series against the Cubs, man. So even though it is the start of a road trip, and usually you are focused to start a road trip, maybe not the case with Milwaukee because coming off that big series against the Cubs, losing a 3-game win streak at the end of that series, could be a little bit more of a hangover spot for Milwaukee than what you would normally see on the start of a road trip. So I don't love the spot for Milwaukee here. Milwaukee obviously has the better bullpen. They have the better offense. Their offense is actually better on the road. So Milwaukee definitely has some pretty major advantages in this game. Washington's bullpen is horrendous. But who has the starting pitching edge? I don't like either of these starters, man. Quintana is pitching for Milwaukee, and his ERA continues to look good, 3.5, but his whip is definitely too high, 1.34. Better on the road, though, 2.36 road ERA. Quintana, he's continuing to hold opposing offenses in check, man, and I don't understand how he could continue doing that. This past month, hadn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any start, and that was a start against the Dodgers. He actually faced the Dodgers twice, and it was the second of those 2 starts that he did worse, or the Dodgers were more familiar with him right after facing him the first time. And then the Mets also were in there too. So he faced some pretty good offenses. 4.03 ERA over that span of 4 games in the month of July. 14-6 strikeout walk ratio. Not horrible numbers, but he's not striking out a lot of guys, man. And that's kind of been my issue with Quintana, though. His walk number has been too high for me as well. This past month, he actually limited the walks a little bit more, so that is a little bit of a better sign. He's pitching a little bit better recently. Up against the Nats, he actually has done really well against them in a big 85 at-bat sample size. 20-12 strikeout walk ratio is not that good, although 7 of the walks are Bell and DeJong. They each have a homer off him, so maybe he's kind of pitched around them a little bit. They haven't done well against them. I mean, they're a combined, 6 for 34 off him, so they still have not done well there. But overall, he has done well against Washington in general. 188 batting average allowed, 602 OPS. Couple of home runs in there, like I said. But overall, Quintana might actually still pitch well in this game. Maybe he very well does have the edge over Mitchell Parker. Mitchell Parker has the worst numbers on the season. He is the much younger pitcher and probably has a higher ceiling, but he has not been getting it done for Washington. 4.91 ERA, 1.41 whip. He's been better at home, though, 3.92 ERA at home. So actually, I think both pitchers actually have the better splits, right, in this game. Is that what I said about Quintana? I think so. This past month, not good for Parker. 6.04 ERA, 12-6 strikeout walk ratio, not very impressive. He allowed 31 hits in 22 1/3 innings as well, so he allowed way more hits than Quintana did. The hit rate was not good at all. Not a ton of walks, but a very low strikeout rate as well. Washington did win his last 2 starts, but he faced San Diego and Minnesota in those 2 games. San Diego's offense has been kind of sputtering. Minnesota, not a very good offense. So I don't know how impressed I am by those performances. Going up against Milwaukee's offense could be a task for Parker, and he has not been good against them. In 38 at-bats, he has 7 walks and only 2 strikeouts. He's allowed 11 RBIs and 2 home runs to them, to Vaughn and Yelich. That is a lot of RBIs, too. 6 doubles as well. 342 batting average, allowed him 1,102 OPS. So Parker, really bad numbers there as well. So I actually think pretty much everything kind of lines up on Milwaukee in that game. They're up from minus 142 to minus 146, though. I just kind of hesitate, man, because Milwaukee's coming off the big series against the Cubs. Could be a little bit of a mindset issue there for them. It is a bad spot for Washington, too, though, in the return home spot. So overall, I would lean to Milwaukee in the game. I do think they have the edge across the board in the game, but you are paying a bit of a price for that, obviously, on the road. And I don't know that Quintana really warrants being that much of a road favorite. We will see. It's not going to be a play for me, but that's the way that I lean. Kansas City at Toronto. Toronto is listed as having an undecided starter here on the board here. It was listed as Gaussman here on ESPN. I don't know if it's going to be or not, although I can handicap him if we want. Kansas City, they're starting a road trip with some momentum. They won the last 2 games at home against Atlanta. And, of course, remember all these games I've been talking about, rested bullpens for all these teams as well. Toronto is returning home from a road trip. They went to Detroit and Baltimore, so it's not the greatest spot for Toronto, returning home from a road trip like that, from playing a Detroit team that's good and then a divisional matchup against Baltimore. Could be a distracted spot in the return home spot here, with Kansas City not playing well recently. So Toronto might not have full focus against Kansas City. Toronto obviously has the way better offense. I mean, that is the significant edge they have. Kansas City is a horrendous offense. Bullpen-wise, Toronto probably has the edge as well. Toronto actually does have a pretty good bullpen, better than Kansas City's. So Toronto does have those 2 edges. Don't know who their starter is going to be, though, but we know it is going to be Michael Wacha for the Royals, and he's been a pretty consistent dude throughout his career, man. Not a velocity pitcher, but he gets the job done. 3.53 ERA, 1.22 whip, not bad numbers on the season. Has been significantly worse on the road, though. 4.53 ERA, 2 runs worse, basically, than he is at home. This past month, 3.1 ERA, pretty good. 15-9 strikeout walk ratio, not as good. But he did limit his opponents to only 2 walks across the last 2 starts combined. So his walk numbers dropped again over the last 2 starts, and he became not a walk again. He allowed only 1 earned run over in each of the last 3 starts. But the last 2 were against Miami and Cleveland, not good offenses. The one prior to that was a decent start against the Mets, So give him credit for that. But the Mets offense has actually been kind of struggling recently too. Wacha up against Toronto. What do we have? 75 at-bats. He has not done very well against them. 9 strikeouts, 5 walks, 373 batting average allowed, and 967 OPS. That's no good. Player prop potential, Bichette is 5 for 13 with a home run, a couple of walks. France has really damaged him, 12 for 25 with 5 doubles and a home run. Definitely some player prop potential with Ty France there. Wacha, so I wouldn't really trust him in this game necessarily, man, against Toronto. Toronto does hit him well in the past. If it is Gaussman, which it looks like it might not be now, they might be pushing Gaussman back. Gaussman is having a decent season. 3.82 ERA, 1.1 whip. Very similar home and away, not much of a difference, only very slightly worse at home. He's done well over the past month. Toronto won 4 of his 5 starts during the last month, 5 of his last 6. Hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of those starts, 2 or fewer in all but 1. And that one start where he did allow 3 was at that A's Sacramento Stadium, which is very hitter-friendly. So Gaussman is definitely in good form right now. 2.51 ERA in the month of July, 32-12 strikeout walk ratio. It's a bit too many walks, but high strikeout rate. Didn't allow a whole lot of hits, and he did this against the Yankees twice, pitching in that A's Stadium, like I said, and also pitched against Detroit in his most recent start and shut them out with 1 hit over 6 innings. 10 Ks and 1 walk. So Gaussman definitely is pitching well right now, but will it be him on the mound today? I don't know. It seems like it might not be. He is good against Kansas City, too, in 110 at-bats, 20-7 strikeout-walk ratio, 245 average allowed, and 645 OPS. So Toronto, they're returning home from a road trip. Doesn't look like a great spot for them. They might not be focused on Kansas City. It depends on what's going to happen with the starting pitching matchup, man. It looks like Toronto right now is lined up around a minus 160 money line, according to ESPN at least. That's probably what ESPN Bet has it at right now. Toronto would have the edge across the board as far as the matchup is concerned, but I don't like the situation for Toronto, so it's a mixed bag there. So that's why it just becomes a stay away from me. Houston at Boston, my Boston Red Sox returning home, but they only had a one-series road trip to Minnesota. They did pretty well after losing the first game by 1 run. I think in extra innings, too. They took it to Minnesota over the last 2 games, scoring 21 runs in the last 2 games and beating Minnesota in both games, beating them 13-1 in the most recent game. Will it be a letdown for Boston in the return home spot? Probably not, because Houston is a good team, so I think the Red Sox should be focused here. Houston is starting a road trip with some momentum after they had a bad homestand, getting swept in 4 games by the A's, which is ridiculous, then losing a game to Washington, but they picked it back up and beat Washington. Houston's starting to get their offense back intact there, I guess. Houston has had some pretty key injuries in their lineup there, and their offense was really, really struggling, but their offense looks like it's coming back a little bit. I'm still probably going to give the offensive edge to the Red Sox here, especially because they hit better at home. I think they do have the better lineup. The bullpen edge probably would go to Houston, but let me see. I'm looking at the stats real quick. Yeah, Houston, second best bullpen whip, although their ERA is a little bit higher than that, but still like a top several bullpen ERA as well. Houston's bullpen ERA is actually worse than the Red Sox bullpen ERA, but the Red Sox whip is significantly higher. So yeah, I'll give Houston the bullpen edge slightly. 2 rested bullpens, so we don't know who the Red Sox starting pitcher is going to be. Hunter Brown is pitching for Houston, and he is pretty much their best starter. Although you could argue it's Valdez because Brown has been a little bit more inconsistent. 2.54 ERA, 1 whip for Brown. Really good numbers this year. A little bit worse on the road, but very similar numbers both home and away. This past month, he was a little bit worse, though. 5.54 ERA, certainly not good. Still had the strikeout stuff, 31 strikeouts, but 10 walks in 26 innings. Put too many men on base for sure. 27 hits as well in that span, of 4 home runs allowed. So he was starting to pitch worse, and he wasn't really facing a gauntlet of offenses either. I mean, he faced Colorado, Cleveland, Texas. Didn't do well against Cleveland or Texas, really. Went to Seattle. Didn't really last long in that game. And then faced the A's, at least at home. So Brown starting to pitch a little bit worse, although maybe you could argue that because he got named to the All-Star team, which I think was his first time being named to the All-Star team. He didn't pitch in the All-Star game, but being involved in the All-Star festivities and being named to it could have maybe thrown him off a little bit. So maybe he was distracted. Maybe he is coming back into form because that A's start last time out wasn't that bad. Gave up 1 earned run, although his team lost the game because they weren't hitting at all. Against the Red Sox, haven't seen that much of him, 15 at bats, but the Red Sox have done okay against him. 333 average, 745 OPS, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. So overall, Red Sox have hit him okay, but some of that might have been in the past when Brown wasn't as good as he is this year. Again, Red Sox haven't decided on a starter at all. Houston is actually a road favorite here. And do they deserve to be? I'm not so sure. I think because it's Houston, they have the name, they have the good record, Hunter Brown on the mound. Maybe Houston's a little bit too much of a favorite, but we're going to see what the Red Sox even decide to do with their starting pitching. Right now, we don't even know what it's going to be, so that remains to be seen what's going to happen, man. Is it going to be Dustin May? When did he last pitch? Are they going to get him over here in time and be like, you're starting right away? I don't know. Minnesota, Cleveland, I'm going to skip right now because that's going to be one of my plays. Yankees at Miami. Both of these teams are in a bad spot, man. Miami's returning home from a road trip where they actually won both series on the road trip. They beat Milwaukee and St. Louis on the road trip, and they'd beaten San Diego a series at home before that, and Kansas City and Baltimore in series before that. So they've actually won 5 series in a row. Miami actually still pitching above their depth, I would say, man. I still don't think Miami's anywhere near as good as they've been playing, man. I mean, They're still below 500. I think they should be significantly below that, but they're continuing to surprise. They're coming off 2 straight shutouts of St. Louis. Returning home from a road trip, though, not a great spot returning home from a road trip, man. As I always say, it's a distraction spot. You have to get back to family life, but it's the Yankees. So are you really going to be unfocused with the Yankees coming into your place? Probably not. Yankees have the unrested bullpen because they played yesterday, although they actually only used 2 of their relief pitchers yesterday. We can look that up real fast. Yankees, they only used 2 relief pitchers, so it's not that bad. But the Yankees' bullpen is not that good. Miami's also isn't, but Miami is at least rested, so maybe Miami has a little bit of an edge there. Miami at least has a rest edge, but I think because they're returning home, maybe it's a little bit less of an edge than it would be otherwise. Yankees have Carlos Rodon starting, having a good season, 3.18 ERA, 1.05 whip. He's been slightly worse on the road, but pretty similar home and away. Starting to struggle a little bit more recently, though. This past month, 4.24 ERA, 24-10 strikeout walk ratio, so his walk rate went up. Faced some difficult offenses, though. He faced the Mets, the Cubs, Toronto, Philadelphia, and he had the All-Star game to deal with in there, too, and he pitched in the All-Star game as well, so not an easy task for him, so maybe he will pitch a little bit better here. He is at least stepping way down in class to face this really, really bad Miami offense. So I'm not sure that Rodon is really going to be that bad in this game. I mean, his form wasn't horrible, really. I mean, his last 3 starts, he gave up 3 or fewer earned runs at least. So he might pitch well here. And Miami, I think, has actually never faced him before, which kind of surprised me when I saw that. But he might have a little bit of an extra advantage there because Miami is going to have to get used to what he's even throwing at them. And he is a pretty talented pitcher, so could be an issue for Miami there. Jansen Junk is pitching for Miami. And he has not been junk. He's actually pitched well. I'm pretty surprised by that. 3.28 ERA, 1.08 whip this season. A little bit better at home as well. This past month, really, really nice numbers. 2.79 ERA, 18-3 strikeout walk ratio. He's not striking guys out. He is still kind of a junk pitcher, but he doesn't walk a lot of guys. He's not putting a lot of guys on base at all. Didn't give up any home runs over the span of that month. Over the last 2 months, over the entire season, he's only allowed 1 home run. So he is pitching quite well. He's keeping guys off the base paths. Over the past month, he allowed more than 3 earned runs only 1 time over those 5 starts. He's only done it 3 times over the course of the season. He's pitching well. Against the New York Yankees, though, only 9 at-bats, so the Yankees don't have a ton of familiarity with him. No extra base hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Overall, they have a 333 average, but only 667 OPS against junk. So Yankees have not hit him that well either. I mean, to me, it's kind of looking almost like an under here, but the total is pretty low at 7.5 with some juice on the over. I'm not sure that I love the bullpens either here, man. I mean, neither bullpen is really that great, so I kind of hesitate on the under, even though they are rested enough that maybe it does make sense, and the hitting looks like it might struggle in this game. Maybe you somehow find a way to limit it. If you can find like an under 4 in the first 5 innings, maybe it makes sense to limit it to just the starting pitching. I don't think there's any way you could play the Yankees. I mean, they're down from minus 168 to minus 165, laying a huge price on the road with a low-scoring game predicted like this. That could mean that there's a little bit more value looking at the underdog in what might be a lower scoring game like that. So I wouldn't want to do it, but it looks like both starting pitchers might do okay in that game. As you can see in the title, Giants, Mets, I'm going to give out a play on that game as well. So I'll skip that. Dodgers, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is in probably one of the worst spots of anybody today. They're returning home from a road trip where they went to Cincinnati and then the Yankees, and they lost all but 1 game. They went 1-6 on that road trip. Really, really bad. Tampa Bay coming off that big series against the Yankees. They blew one of those games. I think 2 games ago they had the lead and blew it. I think maybe even multiple times in the final innings of that game, and it went into extra innings. Tampa not looking very good coming into this game, man. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, which isn't that bad, so their bullpen isn't in terrible shape, and their bullpen generally is better than the Dodgers' bullpen. But the rest advantage obviously goes to the Dodgers. Dodgers are on a road trip already. They actually went to Boston and Cincinnati, so that rest might actually help them as they're just continuing this road trip, and they're not having to travel, multiple time zones at least here. So doesn't look like a horrendous spot there. Tintin, what's up, man? So we got, that's right, HH, man. Thank you, sir. Thanks for hanging out. Don't want to get this channel nuked, though. We're saying it all in jest, man. Of course, we're always joking around here. It is a joke. Dodgers at Tampa Bay here. Clayton Kershaw is going to be the starter for the Dodgers here. I mean, obviously, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's been pitching okay, kind of coming back into form, but he's still not what he was. No, it's all right, man. Thanks for hanging out, man. 3.62 ERA for Kershaw, 1.29. I mean, I'm the one that brought the comment up. Maybe I should stop having the itchy trigger finger. I'm like, I want to give everybody the chance to get their comment up here. Kershaw, 3.62 ERA, 1.29 whip on the season. Not bad numbers, but the whip is definitely too high higher than what I would like to see. He's been better on the road, 2.83 ERA on the road, but this is a hitter-friendly ballpark here at Steinbrenner Field. Kershaw not exactly in great form here, man. Surrounding pitching in the All-Star game, although he's used to pitching in the All-Star game. But coming out of that All-Star game, he did not do well against Milwaukee or Boston. Didn't make it 5 innings in either game. I mean, both offenses are good. But he only had a 4-3 strikeout walk ratio there across those two starts. Gave up 5 earned runs. Didn't look that good on those starts, man. Give up more hits than innings pitched. So he's not in great form right now. Over the course of the entire month of July, 10-5 strikeout walk ratio. His strikeout rate is way down, and he gave up more hits than innings pitched. Again, 26 and 21 innings. Kershaw, again, he doesn't really have his stuff anymore, man. I mean, that strikeout rate is way down from what he used to be able to do. 4.71 ERA in July, not a great sign either. Against Tampa Bay, he actually has not done well in his career against Tampa Bay either. Their hitters, 41 at bats. 317 batting average allowed, 763 OPS. So he hasn't done really particularly well against Tampa. So I kind of hesitate to want to look towards Kershaw in this game, man. Shane Baz is pitching for Tampa, and he does have the worst numbers on the season. 4.61 ERA, 1.3 whip, not great at all. Very bad in this stadium. 6.33 ERA at home. He's been really smacked around in this stadium, man, allowing 12 of the 19 home runs he's allowed this year, all in this stadium. That's not good. He hasn't pitched well this month, past month either, really. 5.4 ERA, although a 30-9 strikeout walk ratio was good, so his strikeout rate is actually higher than Kershaw's, but Tampa lost all 5 of his starts this past month. He only gave up more than 3 earned runs once, though, and that was the only start that he failed to go 5 innings. Against the White Sox, though, that's not a good sign because the White Sox are terrible. Andrew, what's up, man? So I don't know what to think about him, man. The last 2 starts, he went 5 innings or fewer. That last one was at Great American Ballpark, which is also a difficult stadium to pitch in. Walked 2 guys apiece in all of the last 4 starts. Don't know if we can really trust Baz, man. He is facing this really good Dodger lineup, too, although the Dodgers are a better lineup at home than they are on the road, and Dodgers are not familiar with Baz. Only Teoscar Hernandez has ever faced him. He's 1 for 4 with a home run and a walk and 2 strikeouts off of Baz. But the rest of the Dodgers lineup has actually never even seen Baz before. So Baz might actually have a little bit of an edge over Kershaw in that matchup, man, based on what I just showed you. Dodgers down from -140 to -125. And Tampa still might have a bullpen edge too, but I don't think I could really do this, man, with Tampa being disadvantaged in that they're returning home from a road trip, and LA rested yesterday and Tampa did not, so I don't think I can actually recommend it, but you're always paying a tax, man. For Dodgers with Kershaw on the mound, laying a price like this on the road, you're always going to have to pay too much for that. They're down from -140 to -125, so I probably would still slightly lean to playing Tampa on the money line there as an underdog, either in the first 5 or in the full game, but that can't reach the level, where it would be a play for me. Pittsburgh at Colorado. Great matchup here, right? Oh, my God. Colorado's returning home from a road trip where they went to Baltimore and Cleveland. Bad teams returning home from road trips usually are even more disadvantaged because they're just bad, so they tend to fall into that distraction even more so. And it might even happen even more here because Pittsburgh's not a very good team, so Colorado returning home doesn't look like a good spot to me for them. Pittsburgh has momentum right now. They're coming in from San Francisco. They're already in the middle of a road trip, but will they be in a letdown spot, or are they just really playing well right now? They've actually won 5 games in a row and 8 of their last 9 against decent opponents too. Detroit, Arizona, San Francisco. Though San Francisco has been really bad offensively for most of the season now, but maybe Pittsburgh has a little bit of an advantage there, man. They have the momentum at least. Might be a little bit of a letdown again, though, because I don't know if they're really going to pay attention to Colorado. I mean, Colorado basically is going to have a disadvantage across the board, though. Both of these offenses are terrible, though. Actually, probably Colorado, slightly better offense, actually, especially because they're at home. Colorado, for once, they actually probably have the better offense. Pittsburgh's is just that bad. Pittsburgh at the bottom, the very bottom of the pack, in OPS at least. So I'll give Colorado the offensive edge in this game. Pittsburgh gets the bullpen edge. Colorado's bullpen's bad. Pittsburgh's is actually not that bad. And with two rested bullpens here, you got to give Pittsburgh the starting pitching edge, too, with Andrew Heaney. But he hasn't exactly been great. 4.79 ERA, 1.27 whip. Okay, but 6.45 ERA on the road, not a good sign. 13 of the 20 home runs that he's allowed this season have come on the road. Not a good sign. When he's pitching in this Coors Field here, not good. Pittsburgh has lost 3 of his 4 starts in the month of July. They've actually lost 6 of his last 8 starts as well. This month he has a 9 ERA and only a 7-4 strikeout walk ratio. 20 hits allowed, 6 home runs allowed in 14 innings. He is not pitching well, and a lot of that damage came against bad teams. Kansas City, Minnesota, White Sox. That's not good. And then his best start of the month was against Arizona, the best offense that he faced. So try to figure that out. Maybe it was because the team started falling off because they knew they were going to sell some of their batters and whatever. So maybe that was what happened there. He did have a 5-inning shutout in that game, allowing only 2 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Does that mean Heaney is coming back into form? I'm not so sure about that. Against Colorado, his numbers are mediocre, really. In 47 at-bats, 13-5 strikeout walk ratio is not that good, although Nola has 4 of the walks. Not Aaron Nola, the pitcher for Philly, who was injured. And I don't know when he's coming back, but Austin Nola. I don't know if there's any relation. Overall, 255 average allowed by Heaney to Colorado's offense. 880 OPS, not good, though. 3 home runs. Goodman, Farmer, and Estrada have all homered off him. Overall, Heaney, not really great numbers there against Colorado. And Senzatella, a pitcher for Colorado, I mean, he's got to be the worst starter in all of baseball, man. I just have no clue how he even manages to maintain his spot in this rotation or in any rotation for that matter. 6.68 ERA, 1.84 whip. I mean, it does not get much worse than that. Throughout the course of this entire season at this point, putting almost 2 guys on base an inning, you can't do that, man. I mean, that's almost unheard of. Tintin, thanks for the repost, man. He's been a little bit better at home somehow. 6.39 ERA in Coors Field. He's just awful in general, though. This month, still really bad. 6.65 ERA, 13-5 strikeout walk ratio, 5 homers allowed, 27 hits, and 21 2/3 innings pitched. None of that is good at all. So I'm thinking, even though the bullpens are rested, Colorado's bullpen's not very good. Both of these starters look like they're going to get roughed up here. I'm thinking probably the over makes sense in this game, even though Pittsburgh's bullpen is fairly good. Both offenses do suck, especially Pittsburgh's, but Pittsburgh's offense might be able to do something against basically the worst starter in baseball. Total up from 11.5 to 11.5 with juice on the over. That is a high total, though, for offenses like this. So I don't quite want to give that out as a play, but that's probably the lean that I would have in that game. White Sox at Anaheim. Anaheim is actually staying at home, coming off winning a series against Texas and splitting the prior series against Seattle. Anaheim actually playing decently recently. Scott, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out, man. They're playing against the White Sox, who actually have been playing a little bit better recently. I mean, they swept Pittsburgh, beat Tampa. They won 1 game against the Cubs, and now they're coming off beating Philadelphia in a series. So the White Sox playing decently, starting a road trip here. Could be a focus spot for them because they're starting a road trip, but could be a little bit of a letdown, too, coming off a game against Pittsburgh. And we have no idea who they're starting here. Undecided for the White Sox, so it makes it really difficult to read here. Both these bullpens are bad, so that's something to keep in mind, too. We're looking at some pretty weak bullpens. White Sox, 22nd in whip, although their ERA is actually better than all the rest of the teams in the pack. So the White Sox bullpen actually maybe a little bit better than the rest of these. And the Angels bullpen is still one of the worst in all of baseball. So White Sox actually have a bit of a bullpen edge here. Starting pitching, again, we have no idea who the White Sox will even throw out there. Tyler Anderson pitching for the Angels. Don't trust him at all, as you know from watching me on this show. 4.41 ERA, but 1.41 whip. I mean, that is awful. He's definitely been falling apart, although he's been better at home, though. 3.19 ERA. So if you're going to ever play in an Anderson game, you probably have to make it a home game. But he's been really bad this month. He's been bad recently. 4.39 ERA, not terrible, but 17 to 11 strikeout walk ratio, 5 homers allowed, and 30 hits in 26 and 2/3 innings pitched. Not going to cut it. That's not going to get it done. He should get cut, really. Last outing only made it 4 and 2/3 against Seattle. Did not pitch particularly well in that game. Give up a couple of bombs, although he limited it to those 2 runs. He's somehow limited his opponents to 4 earned runs at most in the last 7 starts, but a lot of those starts he wasn't going deep into the game, so that's still not really a great sign. He's still allowing too many runs while he's out there. Up against the White Sox, who do have a very pathetic offense, though. Angels obviously have the better offense here. He's done pretty well against the White Sox in 44 at-bats, 250 average allowed, 645 OPS, 11 to 5 strikeout walk ratio. So Anderson, maybe not the worst matchup for him there, and he has the home road splits for this at least, but he's in such bad form. I don't know that I would want to trust Anderson. Anaheim will be a favorite here, but it looks like there might be a small favorite around minus 135. So again, I guess kind of try to process all that information, try to figure it out, but it's really tough to figure out what you even want to do with this game with an undecided pitcher on the side of the White Sox. So thank you, sir. My instincts with baseball or getting the stream nuked, I don't know. St. Louis at San Diego. San Diego is potentially in a letdown spot because I mean, they just split a series with St. Louis, but they won the last 2 games against St. Louis on the road, so maybe it's a little bit of a revenge spot for St. Louis. And San Diego is now currently coming off sweeping the Mets and shutting them out in the last game and beating them by a combined 12-1 score over the last 2 games. So San Diego is coming off some pretty big games. San Diego did just make some moves, and they got the only good relief pitcher in the A's bullpen. The A's traded him over to San Diego, along with J.P. Sears, I believe, is now on San Diego, who's an okay starter, really. But San Diego got the best reliever from the A's bullpen, their only good reliever. So the A's bullpen, already the worst in baseball, just got worse. And San Diego's bullpen, which is the best in baseball now, just became even better, getting that basically the A's closer. So San Diego did have to give up one of their top prospects, a shortstop, I believe, for him. But still, San Diego just bolster their team a little bit there at that. And I think they might have made one other move too, but I don't remember. But that was kind of the move that made waves yesterday. I don't know if the guy they got from the A's will be there yet, though, and ready for this game. But still, you're looking at the best bullpen in baseball with San Diego that actually has an unheard of 2.97 ERA at this point in the season. That's insane. So they have the best bullpen in baseball. Obviously, they have the better bullpen over St. Louis fairly significantly. Both bullpens are rested, though. St. Louis is starting a road trip after getting shut out 2 games in a row against Miami. Now St. Louis starting to travel, although St. Louis became kind of a seller at the deadline, right? They traded Mott's away, and they might have traded some other guys away too. I'm not sure. But they are starting a road trip coming off some embarrassing losses. So maybe St. Louis will actually show up with some sense of pride in this game. But San Diego, again, has the better bullpen. As far as the offenses, I mean, San Diego has so much talent on their offense. You got to think that at some point their offense is going to turn it around, but they've really slipped. I'm looking at the offenses right now. Where is San Diego? I don't even know. They're down at 22nd, so that's pretty bad. St. Louis, not that far ahead of them, though. So, I mean, maybe you give St. Louis the slight offensive edge, but it's not by much. And we look at the starting pitchers. Liberatore is pitching for St. Louis. He's started to fall off a little bit, too. He had a really good start to the season, but maybe because he's young, he's not used to pitching that deep into a season, whatever. He's starting to fall off a little bit. 4.04 ERA in the season, 1.27 whip. He's been better on the road, 3.65 ERA on the road, and this is a pitcher-friendly ballpark in San Diego, but Liberatore has not been good this month at all. 6.57 ERA, or over the past month, I should say, in July. I keep fucking that up. He had a 7-7 strikeout walk ratio over that span, 2 of 3 starts. That's not good. The last 2 starts, he didn't even make it past 4 1/3 in either of them, and he just faced San Diego and only went 4 1/3 and didn't do particularly well in that start, even though he held them to 1 earned run, but he was out of that game pretty quickly. So San Diego did just see Liberatore. They did fairly well against him in that game. Might not be a good sign for him, man, because they're facing him again right now, and they already did fairly well against him, and now they're familiar with him from recency. His numbers against San Diego are not horrendous, though, in his career. 31 at-bats, 258 average is not bad at all. 743 OPS is not terribly high either. 7-3 strikeout walk ratio. For the Mendoza lines, by the way, I kind of look around batting average of maybe 280 or so to determine, oh, yeah, that average is good for the hitters versus what the pitcher does. And OPS, more importantly, I look at about 750 for where it becomes like good versus bad between the pitcher and the hitter, which has the advantage. So that's what I tend to look for there, because I know people have been asking for ERA. I mean, I tend to look at basically about 4 as being kind of the Mendoza line. For the whip, like 1.3. Kind of my Mendoza line there for whether I think the pitcher is good or not. But anyway, Liberatore, yeah, I mean, his numbers are okay against San Diego. I don't know if I could trust them, though. Nick Pivetta, pitching for San Diego, he's pitching really well this year, man. 2.81 ERA, 0.99 whip. Anything sub 1 is very, very good. Stellar whip. He's been really good at home, too. 2.07 ERA in this very pitcher-friendly ballpark. Pitching well this month as well, or the past month. 1.17 ERA, 30-8 strikeout walk ratio. Had a 10 strikeout shutout with no walks the last start in June, right before that, too. He's had 3 shutouts over the last 6 starts, allowing 2 or fewer earned runs in all 6 of those starts. Pretty good stuff, man, and his team has won 4 of the 6. Probably should be better than that, though, because he's pretty much dominated every start. Against St. Louis, pretty much dominant numbers in 45 at-bats. They only have 6 hits off of them. 14-6 strikeout walk ratio, 133 average, though, and 431 OPS. So Pivetta has completely dominated. So I think you got to give San Diego basically the pitching edge across the board. They have the better starter. They have the better bullpen. Hitting is a little bit more even, like I said, in the situation maybe favors St. Louis a little bit, but I wouldn't trust St. Louis, I don't think, especially when St. Louis, right around the trade deadline, those teams that become sellers might be a little bit less motivated than the team that picked up some new pieces like San Diego, which means we're going for it, man, so let's fucking play. San Diego is way too high of a price now, though. They're up from minus 135 to minus 184. I don't know what that minus 135 was. I don't know if maybe San Diego was going to have another pitcher starting and then switch to Pivetta. I'm not sure what happened there, but minus 184, I just don't really think you can do it with San Diego, especially coming off that big series like that against the Mets. I don't think I could do it. Arizona at the A's. I mean, we don't even know what the fuck's going on in this game. Neither starter has been announced, I think, last I saw, right? Undecided against undecided. Yeah, like what the hell do you do in a game like that? I don't know. Arizona is continuing a road trip, but they were just in Pittsburgh, Detroit. They've lost 5 straight games. They've lost basically every game since they decided to sell at the trade deadline. They have not been in a good mental state at all, I would say. They've lost 8 of their last 9 games. They're playing really, really horrific baseball. Losing a series to Pittsburgh after getting swept by Houston. Now they got swept by Detroit. They're going out to the Pacific Coast now, continuing the road trip, having to change time zones. Doesn't look good for Arizona, man. They know they're done. They're pretty much out of it. They traded 2 of their big bats now, I believe, right? So it's not looking good for Arizona here, man. And their bullpen is horrendous. Even though they have a rested bullpen, both these teams have rested bullpens, but A's also have a horrendous bullpen, so you have 2 of the worst bullpens in all of baseball going up against each other here. These are horrific bullpens, so does that mean you should go over? And it's in the most hitter-friendly ballpark, basically, in all of baseball as well, except for maybe Coors Field. Yeah, there are definitely things looking like it could be an over here. We don't even know who Arizona's starter is going to be. Yes, the better relievers will be available, though, so that takes a little bit of something away from the over here. It looks like Jacob Lopez was scheduled to start for the A's. Maybe he won't be anymore. 4.29 ERA, 1.34 whip on the season. Lopez has started to trail off a little bit, though he's somehow actually been better in this stadium. 3.62 ERA in this stadium, but he's been bad over the past month. 5.3 ERA, 23 to 10 strikeout walk ratio. He still has a high strikeout rate, even though he's not a hard thrower, but his walk rate was very high. I don't really trust Lopez against the D-backs. They've never seen him before, though. So if it is Lopez, the Diamondbacks have never seen him before. So maybe he has a little bit of an edge in that respect. It looks like we don't even know what the line is going to be on this. I don't see what the total is going to be. I mean, a game like this with these bullpens, and maybe we don't even know who the starter is going to be, and it might be bullpen games with horrendous bullpens in this stadium. The total in this game might come out at 12, man, to be honest. It might be a crazy high total. So that's probably the way I would lean, would be to the over in this game, but it might be an insane total. So I probably would I'll just stay away. Texas at Seattle. These teams played yesterday. They actually started their series. Seattle, despite returning home from a road trip, beat Texas 6-0 yesterday, getting the shutout there. Texas does have the better bullpen in general. Texas only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Seattle used 3, but fairly light usage there. So both bullpens are still in decent form here. I give Texas a little bit of the bullpen edge. Seattle obviously has the offensive edge, especially with Seattle getting these new pieces where I believe they got both of those hitters that the Diamondbacks traded are both on Seattle now, right? I believe. If you take a look at their roster, I don't know if they're both going to be there now, but they picked up Naylor, who I believe has already been playing for them for a while, and they picked up Suarez. So they're both in Seattle's lineup now. Again, I think maybe Suarez, I don't know if he's actually going to play yet for them, but Naylor is there. Seattle has the better offense anyway. Jack Leiter is pitching for Texas. He's been okay. 4.09 ERA, 1.32 whip is definitely too high. 4.65 ERA on the road is not good. He's been worse on the road. Seattle does have a pitcher-friendly park, but Leiter, he throws hard. He strikes out a good amount of guys. He's been good as far as his ERA is concerned last month. 3.43 ERA, 25 strikeouts in 21 innings, only 16 hits allowed, but the walks are the problem, man. He throws hard, but he walks guys. 13 walks. That's not good. His team did win the last 3 starts that he made, though, so he's been a little bit better recently, but the walks are definitely a problem, and against Seattle, he has not pitched well. They've seen a lot of him already, even though it's a young career for him. Seattle has faced him a lot. 57 at-bats because they're in the same division. 316 average, 977 OPS, 15-6 strikeout walk ratio, 5 home runs allowed. Although 2 guys have 2 home runs off him. Raleigh, what else is new? 3 for 8 with 2 home runs and 2 walks off him. And Julio Rodriguez, 6 for 11 with 2 home runs off him. So those 2 guys, maybe player prop worthy there. Jack Leiter doesn't exactly look like he matches up that well there in that particular game. Your dad's roommate was friends with Al Leiter, which is Jack Leiter's father. I made a mistake, and I accidentally said it was Mark Leiter at one point, but Mark Leiter's son is Mark Leiter Jr., and I believe he's in the Yankees bullpen. Partied at Gettysburg College, I assume you mean. Fall semester before reporting to spring training with the Yankees. So your father partied with Al Leiter before he reported to spring training when he was on the Yankees. Is that what you're saying? That's crazy, man. I believe I did see, I'll have to check to see if it was Al Leiter. I think I saw Al Leiter pitch. I've mentioned this on the show before. It's a very memorable game because I remember I was sitting in the grandstand at Fenway Park, a little bit of a ways back, though, kind of down the right field line. Not the greatest view. You're kind of looking down at the foul pole, but it's the grandstand. I mean, it's the environment you're in there. There were a lot of Mets fans there. It was Red Sox, Mets. The Mets fans, this is back in like the 90s. The Mets fans were chanting 1918 at the Red Sox because the Red Sox hadn't won the World Series since then, of course, and, you know, giving the Red Sox fans shit about Buckner and whatever. But I remember that game. It was definitely Tim Wakefield, R.I.P. Love Tim Wakefield, man. I got to see him pitch in person multiple times. He had a good game that particular game. It was Wakefield. I believe it was Wakefield against Leiter, and the Red Sox lost the game, I think, 2-1, something like that. It was a very close game. It was a pitching duel. I'd have to look to see if it was Leiter. I'm pretty sure it was. And then I remember, I think it was like Isringhausen was the closer for the Mets at the time. He came in and finished the game off. But that was one of the games that I remember more than many of the other ones. I remember those pitching duels, man. That, and then I was at the John Lester no-hitter, which wasn't a pitching duel, but Lester threw a no-hitter in a blowout win. So I remember that game too. Games like that, definitely I remember those. And then a pitching duel between Roy Halladay and I believe it was also John Lester. I think I saw John Lester many times. Halladay, RIP too. I think it was Halladay against Lester, and it was a win late in the game. Kevin Youkilis, I think, had a walk-off RBI maybe in that game, and Halladay was smashing Gatorade coolers in the dugout after that, which I think Halladay pitched the complete game in that game and took the loss. That was an interesting one as well. And then we had... and I did see John Lester pitch in the 2013 playoffs as well, in the first game of the playoffs, game one of the wild card series or whatever it was, or maybe, was it the ALDS? I forget what it was against. It might have been the ALDS, I guess, right? Because that's how the format was. It was against the Rays. Lester didn't pitch well in that game, but the Red Sox offense and Tampa Bay's bad fielding bailed Lester out, and the Red Sox won that game after they fell behind pretty bad early in that game, if I remember correctly. Anyway, some Toad Red Sox game attendance lore there. Anyway, Logan Gilbert is pitching for Seattle, and I like what he's been doing, man. 3.36 ERA, 1 whip. I mean, nothing to dislike about that. He's been way better at home. 1.94 ERA at home is ridiculous. 3.04 ERA over the past month with a 38-10 strikeout walk ratio. He's getting the job done. He's pitching well. Getting a lot of strikeouts there against Texas's weak lineup. He's been good in a massive sample size, 202 at-bats. I don't think you'll ever see that big a sample size with this low. I mean, I know I say that a lot, but 202 is a crazy sample size. He's held Texas's hitters to a 168 average and 548 OPS, 60-15 strikeout walk ratio. I mean, he's basically dominated Texas, man, in a giant sample size. So it's like, even though they're familiar with him, they can't get to him. So Seattle, I think, does have the edge in this game. They got the edge in the starting pitching matchup here. I would lean that way, but the price tag is high. They're up from -160 to -184. I'm not sure that I could do it, man, although Seattle is certainly going for it, but Texas made some moves at the deadline as well, I believe. I think Texas made a couple of sneaky moves, or I think they improved their team a little bit there. Texas, who did they get? They got some starter. I'm trying to remember now. Well, we'll see him come up when he does start, but they got some starter. I was like, oh, that's going to help them a lot. Who was it, though? Merrill Kelly. Yeah, that was a decent move for them, man. So they've thrown him into their starting rotation there. Texas, their pitching is like one of the best. They're one of the best pitching teams in baseball, man. Texas, going to be a difficult team to contend with just because of their pitching. But in this game, the edge goes to Seattle for me. I just think it's too much of a price to lay on that. Could look towards Seattle, run line or something like that maybe. Could go with that. Bullpen, like I said, Texas has a bullpen edge, but it's not that significant. Graphic for best bet should be Toad writing a suicide note just to list your plays. Well, I do it with AI, and AI won't allow me to do that, but that is an excellent segue, Brad. So thank you for that, because we are going to the best bets here. Consider that to be my suicide note there. Betting slip. It's going to be the slip of the noose there. I don't want to get this. I don't want to get this show nuked, man. We can't do this. Best bets. Let's go to it, man. First game up is the total. We're going to go under in Minnesota, Cleveland, man. Both these bullpens, I know I don't love these bullpens that much, especially not Minnesota's. I get it, but they're both rested at least, so the best relievers will be available. And both these teams, they know they're not going anywhere, so we might see a little bit less offensive fervor in this game. Both teams were off yesterday, so the bats might be a little bit cold. And these are not good offenses, man, so that's definitely part of the handicap. Minnesota, I mean, mediocre, I guess, at best for their offense. Cleveland, very bad. They're in like the bottom 5 or whatever in OPS. Pitching, I know, again, I don't like Minnesota's bullpen, the way they've been pitching at all. And they did just trade Duran away, not Jaron Duran, but Juan Duran, or whatever his name is. They traded him away. So their bullpen got even worse. But again, I mean, they at least have a rested bullpen. Cleveland's bullpen at least is not that bad. I mean, their bullpen ERA is actually fairly decent. So I'm not too worried about it. going full game on this one, especially because, again, you know me, I don't like going under 3.5 in the first 5 innings. I think it's very dangerous. So instead, we're going full game under the 7.5, even though it looks like you might have to get 7 now on this. It looks like it's already dropped from the 7.5 to 7, so I think the money is agreeing with me on this. The money line is flipped from plus 115 on Cleveland to minus 120, so the actual money is fading Minnesota here. I'm going to go and I'm going to say both starting pitchers are going to do well here, though, man. Even though the money line makes it seem like maybe Cleveland will actually have the upper hand somehow. I don't know why that would be the case, because obviously Joe Ryan is the better pitcher in general over Gavin Williams. Will Joe Ryan be like, fuck this, like unfocused, because it looked like he was really close to being on like a contender and now he has to stay with the Twins? Is it going to be like, fuck this, or is it going to help him like get that stuff out of his head? Because when you go up to the trade deadline, I think you have that in your head, like you don't know where you're going to be, and now you know, okay, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to finish the season with the Twins. So I think that's more of a good thing. I think that's going to like give him a little bit more focus again, be like, okay, now I know where I am. I'm going to focus. I'm going to finish off the season. And Ryan has been really good this year. 2.82 ERA, 0.92 whip, very good. Better on the road as well, 2.51 road ERA. Had a little bit of a snag recently, and I think it was maybe because of the All-Star festivities kind of maybe throwing him off a little bit, but still over the month of July, 2.7 ERA, 33-4 strikeout walk ratio. That was all good. He had an uneven start against Washington where he gave up 4 earned runs, went 5 innings, but he still struck out 5 and only walked 1. So he got a little bit unlucky in that game where it was like most of the base runners that reached scored. 6 hits, 1 walk. Not really terrible there. So I'll give him a little bit of a pass for that. Cleveland's offense is bad, as I already showed you, and Ryan has dominated them in 82 at-bats, 13-4 strikeout walk ratio, 183 average allowed, 562 OPS. So I think Ryan, if he's focused and he wants to show up and he's on his game, he should do well here against Cleveland. It is a divisional rivalry. I mean, you're still going to come out. You're still going to want to try to win this game. Gavin Williams, I think, will try to show up as well, even though he's a somewhat weak pitcher, and I really don't like his whip at all. 3.51 ERA is good, though. 1.37 whip, obviously not good, but he's been better at home, so we get the advantage of both home road splits here. 3.05, and this month he's had a 3.03 ERA, which I can't argue that much with that. 29-15 strikeout walk ratio, I will take issue with that. I mean, that walk rate is terrible, but he's settled down in the last 2 starts. It was against the A's, who actually have a pretty good lineup, and Kansas City, who do not. But in those 2 starts, he went 13 innings, struck out 14, which is a decent sign, and only had 3 walks over that span, and only allowed 3 earned runs total and 9 hits. So he is actually in good form over the last 2 starts, and over that last 4 starts, he didn't allow more than 3 earned runs in any start. He's only allowed more than 3 earned runs once over the last 2 months, and it was at Wrigley Field against a really good Cub lineup. So that's not really that bad for Gavin Williams. I mean, his team is obviously not winning behind him. I mean, they've lost 7 of his last 9 starts because their offense reeks. But still, I mean, he's pitching well, and you look at his numbers against Minnesota, which they're not a very threatening lineup either. And I believe Minnesota, they just traded Correa away, right? So that's going to help out, I think, with our under here, man. You got some offensive pieces that have been moving away. So I think I'm pretty sure Carlos Correa went back to the Astros, by the way. Speaking of the Astros not having a good lineup, I don't know if Correa is going to be there yet, but that should help the Astros lineup. And that means Minnesota's lineup is going to be without one of their better hitters. So that's not going to help Minnesota, their offense here. And against Williams, this lineup has not done well against him in 44 at-bats, 11 strikeouts, 3 walks, only 1 extra base hit, a double from Jeffers, who's done okay against him, 4 for 10, but he's held to a 159 average and 395 OPS overall, so very, very weak offensive numbers on both sides of the equation here. So I'm going to do it under, not do it, but give it out as a play at least, under in Cleveland and Minnesota in that game. Go Royals there. At Toronto and then Boston for Kansas City. Yeah, well, I mean, I have to kind of root against the Royals a little bit, right? Just to get knocked out of contention there. But the Red Sox still have to contend with, I mean, who else are they contending with for wild card? They're contending with, I guess, Seattle right now, and they're contending with Texas. I mean, that's not good. Both of those teams might be better than the Red Sox, so the Texans certainly not better offensively, but I think the Red Sox are up against it. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And the final play, you guys are not going to like it. I mean, I'm a contrarian, man. People are not going to like this one. And it is the San Francisco Giants, SF, the struggling Fox, or whatever. Money line, baby. San Francisco Giants, plus 120 against the Mets. I'm going there. I'm doing it. I think the spot is actually good for this, man. Looking at the market read, we don't see a whole lot going on. And it looks like it's going to be a low-scoring game, though. Total up a little bit from 7 juice to the over, 7.5 juice to the under, but it's a very small tick upward. Very low total. So that means that the underdog has a better chance to hang in the game. Mets up from minus 137 to minus 138 here. Battle of lefties. We do have the better bullpen on San Francisco's side, even though their bullpen has been worse recently. They're still third in whip, and they have a low ERA, so I think they're second in ERA still, so that's still quite good. Mets bullpen has started to struggle a bit. I don't even know where they're at here. Mets bullpen, where the hell are they? They're 19th now in whip, although their ERA is a little bit better than that. But Mets, very mediocre bullpen right now. Bullpen edge definitely goes to San Francisco. Offense goes to the Mets, obviously. But the Mets have fallen down to the 11th offense in OPS, which is not terrific. Obviously, we know San Francisco's offense is a nightmare, down at 24th. But still, I like pitching better than I like hitting, man. So that's part of what we're going with here. The Mets are returning home from a road trip where they went to San Francisco, by the way, and swept San Francisco. So guess what this is, baby? This is revenge for San Francisco. Road revenge, quick road revenge. You don't see this very often when your team just got swept at home, and now you're going to that opponent almost right away who just swept you. Yeah, so I think it might be a bad spot for the Mets here, man. They did just get swept, I understand that, by San Diego, but they're returning home cross-country, which is a difficult spot. You have to return home again. It's an unfocused spot. Typically, you have family life to get to. I know the Mets are battling with Philadelphia for the division right now. San Francisco still has a decent record, but they're below 500 now at least, so Mets might not take them seriously, even though I know the records don't look good. The Giants are below 500 on the road. Mets have a really good home record. I get it. The public is probably only going to want to look one way here because the Giants have looked awful, and I know we're stepping in front of this train. Giants, after getting swept by the Mets, got swept by Pittsburgh. 6 straight losses, but what better than when you get swept at home like that and you have to listen to the media saying you suck and whatever. What better than to just go out on the road? Fuck that. Forget about all that. Go on the road. Anger in your heart, man. Go out and face that team that just swept you 2 series ago in your home stadium. Go out and try to do the same to them, man. So I think even though they're traveling cross-country as well, both teams are, but it's a return home spot versus a road trip start spot. So the start of the road trip is always the more focused spot, almost always, than the return home spot. And especially, again, the Mets might take San Francisco more lightly because they've been ass recently, and the Mets just swept them. San Francisco, to me, it seems like they're still trying to do something this year, man. I don't think they were really sellers at the trade deadline. They got Devers over there, so they're trying to do something here. So I still think they're trying, so I like how that lines up. And then the starting pitching matchup, I'm going to give the slight nod to Robbie Ray with the starting pitching matchup. Well, this is mostly a situational play for me, though. Robbie Ray, I like what he's done this season better than what I've seen out of Peterson. 2.93 ERA, 1.14 whip. Really nice numbers for Ray. I know he's been a little bit worse on the road, 3.4 ERA, but still, that's pretty good. Yes, he struggled this past month, 3.52 ERA, still not that bad. 24-14 strikeout walk ratio. I know the walk ratio was really bad. He still only allowed 20 hits in 30 and 2/3 innings, which wasn't that bad, but he faced a fucking gauntlet, man. Arizona, Philadelphia, Dodgers, Toronto, Mets. He faced all good offenses over that span, and he still did fairly well. I mean, he only allowed more than 2 earned runs once against Toronto, which was, yeah, it was on the road, but still, I think he was also a bit distracted because that was the game coming out of the All-Star break. So he got named to the All-Star team, which it was either the first or second time that happened for him. He didn't pitch in the game, but that might have been a bit of a distraction around that time too. So I think maybe he'll come back into form here, even though I know his walk rate went way up. That's not looking that good. He's walked 3 or more in 3 of his last 4 starts. Yes, I do worry about that, but over the course of the season, it hasn't been like that. I think we can kind of understand it based on the caliber of offenses he was facing. But again, like I just showed you, the Mets are the team that he just faced, which again, yeah, it does mean that the Mets are more familiar with him, but that's going to be the case with both of these starting pitchers, man. They both have the same disadvantage because both of these starting pitchers just faced that opposing lineup. So that is kind of a wash. Ray against the Mets, 94 at-bats, has a pretty good 26-5 strikeout walk ratio against them, despite all those walks in the last outing. 255 average allowed is quite low. 825 OPS, I understand that is high. He's allowed 5 home runs to them, but still, overall, I'm going to say those numbers aren't that bad, and I think they're better than what we get out of David Peterson, who I still don't trust Peterson. I know his numbers look good. 2.83 ERA obviously is very good. 1.25 whip isn't even that high, although it's still... With Peterson, I still think it's indicative that something is not quite there with Peterson. He just gets out of jams with ground balls and shit. But I know he's done it for a couple of seasons in a row now. He's really good at home this year. I know 1.91 ERA, not really something you necessarily want to fade very often. His team has won 3 of his last 4 starts, but in June he wasn't that good. They lost 4 of 5 starts from there. This past month, 1.05 ERA. Yeah, that's really good, but 18-7 strikeout walk ratio is not exactly that good. He just faced San Francisco, like I said, and he did better in that start than Ray did. Ray, I think, walked 3 guys, but so did David Peterson. He walked 3 guys against San Francisco in the start against San Francisco as well, though he allowed fewer runs. He did have the better overall start, but it wasn't by that much. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to fade on the Mets just because of the spot here, but I think we could do it with this pitching matchup as well. The Mets... Peterson against the Mets. That's not what I wanted to do. Peterson against, I was like, how are they so unfamiliar with him? Against the Giants, 59 at-bats. He has a really atrocious 13-12 strikeout walk ratio against him. So Ray's strikeout walk ratio in the lineup matchup here is a lot better than Peterson's. And Peterson's allowed worse numbers across the board. 339 average and 891 OPS. So that's not good. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I think we get a nice price here on the Giants as an underdog, given the spot. I think Ray does have the slight matchup advantage here. I think we get the better pitching for San Francisco across the board, and I don't think there's really, I mean, there's an advantage for the Mets hitting-wise, but I don't think it's that much, and I think it could be kind of negated a bit by how distracted they might be in the spot. So that's a play. I know it doesn't look good, but that's the way that it is. Betting on San Francisco, all right. Well, hopefully we get it done, man. Please don't come and, yell at me if something else happens here, man, because, you don't win every play, man, especially as an underdog like that. You're only saying that you think that they're probably going to win about not even maybe 50% of the time, but slightly less than 50% of the time almost, because you're trying to just profit on these plays. And I know my plays haven't gone that well recently, but we're trying to beat the profit margin, man. That's the goal. Try to get about 54% basically on plays that are at minus 110, but at plus 120, a little bit different. Anyway, my plays one more time. WNBA, Chicago Sky, plus 5.5. Please help me. Under in baseball in Minnesota, Cleveland, under full games, 7 or 7.5 there. 7 is the key number because it's what breaks the 3-3 tie. And San Francisco Giants. Oh boy, this is ugly. It's so ugly today, man, but that's the nature of betting. That's how you find value, man. You bet on ugly teams, ugly looking things, man. Yeah, as ugly as Jenna Ortega looks with that horrific facial surgery that she had. God, she looks awful. Unbelievable what she did to herself. Like, please don't do that, ladies. Anyways, yeah, the Giants are the last play there. That's going to do it for me. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I very much appreciate it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram as well, where I do put out on my plays in short format there. Better Off Dead, obviously, is the channel here, BTTOR, which I was told to change it to the Slump Continues or maybe something along those lines. Maybe I will because Better Off Dead just gets no SEO, so maybe I should change it. We'll see what we want to do with that. But I am on YouTube, obviously. Please, like, subscribe, comment, which you guys have been doing, so I appreciate all that. I'm on the audio platforms as well, Spotify, Apple, which is getting almost no traction, but please check it out there as well. Listen and rate and whatever, and let's try to pump that thing up. Covered in Uke is my ukulele project, which I have on YouTube as well, on YouTube. It's on YouTube, Covered in Uke, which I do ukulele covers of pretty much almost anything, and I anything within reason that I think I can actually do. Double posted on Twitter and YouTube now, so that's out there. And then patreon.com/learntotode if you want to help support. And, basically right now it's helping me live pretty much at the moment, which is bad because basically at this rate I'm going to die. But yeah, throw me some support there if you want. You get bonus content. You get Uke Spotify stream at one of the levels, and at the highest level, you get requests. So I appreciate all that. Thanks, everybody, and I'll be back tomorrow. Go check out my episode I did with Clint last night on this channel, Bald. We did an NFL preview show there, so if you haven't checked that out, it was fun, so go check that out as well. And that's going to do it. Have a good Friday. Excuse me. I thought it was Thursday for a Friday. Rolling into the weekend, baby. Let's roll in with some wins. Peace out, everybody.